This is the video notes that are going with our guided notes for finding the slope of a line from using the graph, okay? So let's just go back really super quick and review what we know about slope. We've already learned in previous lessons that m, lowercase m, is the symbol for slope. We've learned that it has synonyms. The word slope has lots of synonyms. Synonyms are words that mean the same thing. So the slope can also be called the rate of change, can be called the unit rate, it can be called the constant of proportionality, but it also means for us the change in y over the change in x. That's a ratio. How is y changing compared to x changing? Now, a fun, easy, quick way for us to remember this is we call it rise over run. Now, I want you to think about this. Your y-axis runs up and down, okay? Goes from top to bottom. That's the rise. The x-axis is what goes left to right, so that's your run. Okay, that rise over run was invented by a math teacher to help her students remember how to graph slope. Okay, think about this. If you're sitting in a chair and somebody tells you got to run out of the room, you got to rise up out of that chair before you can run across the floor. You got to go up or down before you can go over to the side. Okay, so it's just a cute little way to remember that. Now, in our problems today, we're actually going to use 3 steps to do these. The first step is we're going to graph the points we're given and make the line that passes through those points, okay? After we graph the line, then we're going to create a right triangle, and we're going to label the length and the height and the width of the length of the height and the width of that triangle. Okay, then what you're going to do to make your rise over run ratio is the height is going to be the rise, the run is going to be the width. So then you just take those lengths and put them into your fraction and simplify. Okay, sounds like a lot, but it's actually quite easy. Okay, so let's get started. Your basic directions are always just going to say, find the slope of the line passing through the points, okay? And they're going to give you the points, okay? So let's look. We're going to do this in 3 parts. The first part is we're going to look at positive lines. Now, positive lines are like my markers right here. From the left side of the line to the right side of the line is going up. It's increasing. From the left side of the graph to the right side of the graph, it's increasing. Now, my 2 markers here are not increasing at the same rate. Because remember, slope is the incline, how steep your line is. Well, my blue marker here is a lot steeper than my orange marker. The slope of my blue marker is going to be a larger number than the slope of my orange marker. So what happens is when we find slope, we are finding a number to describe how steep or not steep the line should be, okay? So let's take a look. Remember we said we had 3 steps up here. Okay, I'm going to shrink this down for just a second so you can see it. Now, the first step we said was we're going to graph the points and draw the line. So I'm going to do that. Okay, so my first point right here is -3, -3. So I'm going to graph it. -3, -3. And I'm going to talk back here because we all know how to graph points. And then 0, 2. And of course, you know, anytime during a video, you can pause it if you write slower than I talk. And I'm going to draw my line. Okay, see my line right there? Now, the second thing we're going to do is we're going to make a right triangle with these 2 points. What you're really doing is saying, if I have to stay on the grid lines right here, okay? What am I going to do? I'm going to go up and over to get to the next point. So you're saying if I start here and I want to end up here, how can I do that and stay on my lines? Now remember, you're going to do up and down first. So I'm going to go up and over, okay? So let's draw that. I'm going to make my right triangle up and over. Up because it is positive, it's increasing. Now, it has to be a right triangle, and you have to stay on the lines of the graph paper. You can't get off those lines. Okay, so now, see my right triangle? Now, all I got to do is find the length of the sides of each of the triangles. So right here, my height, let's count. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. It's 5 blocks tall. Some people will count blocks. They'll go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I count lines because I start on this line. 1 line, 2 lines, 3 lines, 4 lines, 5 lines. Okay, but it's 5 units tall. Now, how wide is it this way? What is my run? 1, 2, 3. Okay, that's the second step. You're just going to make that triangle and find the length of the sides. Now, step number 3 was to find our rise over run, and I'm going to write right here underneath it. We know that M equals rise over run. Okay, so what I'm going to do is take my 2 numbers up here, my 5 and my 3, and I'm going to put them in the correct spot. Rise is up and down, so that's 5. The run is side to side, so that is 3. Now I'm going to ask myself, can I simplify that fraction? No, I can't. I have to have it as a fraction. Okay, if somebody's going to try to turn that into a mixed number, no, 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 no mixed numbers. This is a ratio. So really what this means is for every 5 lines you go up, or units you go up, you're going over 3. I'm going up 5 and over 3 to get to my next point. Okay, and that describes our slope, and we're done. Now we're going to do the same process on all of our problems. We're just going to be using different numbers. Okay, so let's look at example 2 right here. Example 2 has us graphing -3, 1 and 2, 4. So let's graph that. -3, 1 right here. And then 2 and 4, 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 4 right there. And we're going to lay our ruler down and draw our line. Now, again, that's the first step. Second step is to make that right triangle. So I'm going to start at the point on the left and I'm going to the point on the right. Now think about that. How do we read on our paper? Left to right. Anytime we're doing something on paper, we start on the left side and go to the right side. So start left and go right. That means I'm going to have to go up and then I'm going to go over. Now, and I'm going to double check, make sure I stayed on my lines and little grid lines of the graph paper, and I have a right triangle. Now I'm going to count the length of each side. My rise is 1, 2, 3. My run here is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay, that's second step. Our third step is just come down here and fill in our numbers. So we got M equals rise over run. My rise here is 3. My run is 5. Again, I'm going to ask myself, can I simplify that fraction? And we know we can't because 3 and 5 are both prime numbers. And that's as good as it gets. Okay, pause your video if you need to, finish copying these down. Then we'll go to part 2. Now, part 2 of the notes is going to be looking at negative lines. Now, if I think about my ink pen right here, these are negative lines because from the left side to the right, they are going down, okay? From left side to right side, it's a decrease, it's a downhill, okay? Now, we're gonna do the same 3 steps we did before, but look right here, because these are negatives, our triangle goes under the line because it's gonna show the going down part, okay? So let's go ahead and graph our line. Our first point is negative 3, 3, right here. Our second point is 2, negative 2. It's right there. I'm going to lay my ruler down. Okay. Now, take a look right here. See what I'm saying? From left to right, you're going to go down and over. Always go in the right direction. So down and to the right. Okay. So if I draw in that right triangle right there, it's going to look like this. And my line is a downhill line. So to show that, we put the triangle under the line because we always think about downhill as being negative, under being negative. Okay, those are those little context clues. Now, once I've drawn my right triangle, what am I going to do? Oh, yeah, I'm going to check the length of my sides and figure that out. So going down, I'm going to go down 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Now I went down 5. So what I'm going to do is make that a negative 5. If you go up, it's positive, but if you go down, it's negative. Now, when I get to right here and I turn and I go to the right, anytime you go towards the right direction, that's always going to be positive. Now, if I was going left, I would go negative, but we're not. We're going right. So this bottom number is going to be a positive because I'm starting here and going in the right direction towards positive infinity. Now, let's count. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Now, I've got my 2 numbers, so what am I going to do right here? M equals rise over run, and that's going to be negative 5 over 5. But now stop again, ask yourself, can I simplify that fraction? Absolutely. We know that negative 5 divided by positive 5 is really negative 1. Okay, and there's my answer. Now, let's look at example 4. Same situation, just different numbers. So let's go ahead and graph our line. We've got negative 2, 3, so negative 2, 1, 2, 3 right here. And 2, negative 3, 1, 2, 3 right there. And let's lay down our ruler. And let's connect our dots. Now, again, I can tell that this is a negative line because if I put my pointer finger, left pointer finger on the point on the left and my right pointer finger on the point on the right, see the right finger going from left to right is going down, okay? So now that means my triangle once again has to go underneath my line. So let's draw that triangle just like that. There we go. And once we draw the triangle, we're going to find the length of our side. So let's count. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. That is negative 6. Negative, remember, because we went down. If we'd went up, it'd have been positive, but we went down, so it's negative. Now, going to the right. 1, 2, 3, 4. Going to the right is always a positive direction, so it's positive 4. Now, underneath my graph right here, I can just write M equals rise over run. My rise is the -6. The run is the +4. Now, again, can I simplify this fraction? Oh, I know I can because I recognize 6 and 4 as even numbers. So that means both of those numbers are divisible by 2. So 2 goes into -6, -3 times. 2 goes into 4, 2 times. And I do know that -3/2 cannot be simplified. And again, absolutely am not going to try to turn that into a mixed number. This is a ratio of rise to run. If it's improper, it's just improper. Okay, pause if you need to. Make sure you've got everything copied down, and we'll go to part 3. Now, part 3 is really different from the other two. Part 3, we're going to talk about zero slope and no slope. Zero slope and no slope means horizontal or vertical lines, okay? Now, here's the catch. There's going to be no step 2 in this one because we're not going to be able to draw a right triangle with it, okay? Well, what do I mean by that? Well, let's try this. Let's go ahead with number 5 and let's graph. So we've got 2, -2 right here. Then I've got negative, oh, I think I messed up something. I did. Let's do this. Let's make this y right there a negative. I left that off, okay? So I've got 2, -2, and then let's graph -2, -2 right here, okay? Sorry about that mistake. Now, if I graph this line, what I do notice here is that this is a horizontal line. Okay. Now, I cannot draw a right triangle like I did in the other 4 examples before this and stay on the grid line. You can't do it, okay? Now, I can go ahead though and talk about my rise and run here. Now, look right here. From this point to this point, how much am I going up or down? Oh, I'm not going up and I'm not going down, am I? So my rise here is going to be 0. Now, look at my run though. Going from left to right, I'm running over 1, 2, 3, 4. So my ratio is 0/4. But wait, we know that 0 divided by 4 is just 0. Now, I want you to take a look and think about this. This makes sense. Every horizontal line, no matter where you put it on the graph paper, every horizontal line is going to have a slope of 0 because it doesn't go uphill, it doesn't go downhill. So it's not a positive, it's not a negative. What number in our number system says I'm neither positive nor negative? The only number we have is 0. Okay, so anytime you see a horizontal line, our slope is going to be 0. Okay, now let's take a look at 6. Example 6 is actually going to be a vertical line. So let's graph this. So we're going to graph 2, -2 again, right here. And then we're going to graph 2, 3 up here. Now, when I connect these dots, what I see is a vertical line, literally straight up and down, just like that. Now, again, I can't draw a right triangle between those 2 points and not get off my grid lines of my graph paper, so there's no triangle involved here. Now, I am going to do remind ourselves this is a vertical line, okay? But if we talk about rise over run here, and we can, our rise is how much we're going up and down. So how much are we going up and down? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. But what is our run? How much are we going side to side? Oh, from this point to this point, it doesn't go to the side, does it? So our run is going to be 0. Holy crap. Do you remember from 6th and 7th grade, the one number you can never have for your denominator, the one number you can never divide by is 0. And look what I'm dividing by. Look what's in my denominator. That is a 0. I cannot have that. No way. This is not possible. It is not possible to have a 0 in the denominator. So when that happens, there is no answer. But you know what? That's not what they write. What they write is no slope, okay? There's no answer because you can never have 0 in the denominator of a fraction for any reason. And since there's no answer, we just say there is no slope. Okay, so every vertical line, if they ask you what the slope is, you got to go, oh, there's no slope to it because we can't do it. Okay, now pause the video, make sure you've got everything copied down, get these notes into your interactive notebook, and then just look on Canvas and you'll find your assignments for this.